This was the moment when Gandalf changed Frodo's entire view of Gollum. It is a late morning in the Shire. The sun shines bright over green hills and quiet gardens, but inside Bag End, the world feels heavier. Frodo Baggins listens, wide-eyed, as Gandalf the Grey weaves a tale of darkness, power, and of a creature twisted by the ring. Then why didn't he track Bilbo further? Asked Frodo. Why didn't he come to the Shire? Ah, said Gandalf, now we come to it. I think Gollum tried to. He set out and came back westward, as far as the Great River, but then he turned aside. He was not daunted by the distance, I'm sure. No, something else drew him away, so my friends think, those that hunted him for me. Gollum had turned away from the Shire and his pursuit of Bilbo, but not to safety. He had followed another pull, one far more terrible. But I am afraid there is no possible doubt. He had made his slow, sneaking way, step by step, mile by mile, south, down at last to the land of Mordor. A heavy silence fell in the room. Frodo could hear his heart beating. Even outside, everything seemed still. No sound of Sam's shears could now be heard. Yes, to Mordor, said Gandalf. Alas, Mordor draws all wicked things, and the dark power was bending all its will to gather them there. The ring of the enemy would leave its mark too, leave him open to the summons. What Tolkien reveals here is the dark power of Sauron calling out to wicked beings and drawing them to Mordor. Despite having been separated from the ring for some time, Gollum remained under its control and influence. This power erodes the free will of its victims, gradually turning them into servants of Sauron. Even if he didn't fully understand why, the ring had left its mark on Gollum. It acted like a beacon calling out to its master, and pulling its former bearer toward him. What must have been going on in Gollum's head during this time is anyone's guess, but it may have gone something like this.
Yes, west. West is the Shire. Where it is, where he took it from us. The Baggins! But no. The air smells wrong. The wind stings. Something calls. Something pulls. It burns, precious. It burns in our bones. We should go back, yes. Sneak back to the Shire. Take it back. Kill the fat hobbit. Yes. But our legs, our feet, they go south, always south. Why do they go there? Voices in the dark, calling, whispering, promising. They says they knows us, says they can help us. Lies. But we are so tired, so cold. The precious is close. We feels it, yes. We knows it. Something watches. Something waits. Not kind, not friendly, but it wants the same thing we want. The precious, we hates it. But we can't stop it. No. We goes. We must go. South. Always south. Into the teeth of the dark. Into the eye.
Side note, let me know how my Gollum impression was. Not the best, not the worst, but let me know in the comments. This will-breaking power is a recurring theme with Sauron. We see it most clearly in the Nazgul, who lose their humanity and become mindless extensions of his will. But it's also evident in other characters, such as the Mouth of Sauron, whose identity has been entirely consumed by his master's darkness. The rider was robed all in black, and black was his lofty helm. Yet this was no ringwraith, but a living man. The lieutenant of the Tower of Barad-dûr he was, and his name is remembered in no tale, for he himself had forgotten it. And he said, I am the Mouth of Sauron. But it is told that he was a renegade, who came from the race of those that are named the Black Númenóreans, for they had established their dwellings in Middle-earth during the years of Sauron's domination, and they worshipped him, being enamored of evil knowledge. And he entered the service of the Dark Tower when it first rose again. And because of his cunning, he grew ever higher in the Lord's favor. And he learned great sorcery, and he knew much of the mind of Sauron, and he was more cruel than any orc. What stands out to me in this passage is how the Mouth of Sauron became so obsessed with dark magic and Sauron's influence that he gave up all parts of his own identity, even forgetting his own name. Very similar to Gollum in some ways. And this pattern continues the more you look. Sauron's forces aren't made up of loyalists, but rather slaves. Orcs are literally slaves of Mordor, and Tolkien even acknowledges that slavery is what makes up the majority of Sauron's hosts. Since his return to Mordor, Sauron had found the tower useful, for he had few servants, but many slaves of fear. Sauron's greatest weapon is not simply brute force, but domination, of mind, will, and identity. In many ways, he is an army of one who controls all others, similar to a hive mind. Even the ranks of his military are based on the degree of enslavement. Nazgul at the very top being mindless extensions of him. The mouth of Sauron in the middle, who is extremely loyal, but we also see him trying to negotiate with Gandalf to take Isengard for himself. So still some sense of individualism there. And at the bottom, orcs, who will even question the tactics of Sauron, but ultimately always serve him based on their deep fear of him and general attachment towards nasty things. And this power runs even deeper in the story than you may realize. A ring of power looks after itself, Frodo. It may slip off treacherously, but its keeper never abandons it. At most, he plays with the idea of handing it on to someone else's care, and that only at an early stage, when it first begins to grip. But as far as I know, Bilbo alone in history has ever gone beyond playing, and really done it. He needed all my help too, and even so he would never have just forsaken it, or cast it aside. It was not Gollum, Frodo, but the ring itself that decided things. The ring left him. What? Just in time to meet Bilbo? Said Frodo. Wouldn't an orc have suited it better? It is no laughing matter, said Gandalf. Not for you. It was the strangest event in the whole history of the ring so far. Bilbo's arrival just at that time and putting his hand on it blindly in the dark. There was more than one power at work, Frodo. The ring was trying to get back to its master. It had slipped from Isildur's hand and betrayed him. Then, when a chance came, it caught poor Deagol, and he was murdered. And after that, Gollum, and it had devoured him. It could make no further use of him. He was too small and mean, and as long as it stayed with him, he would never leave his deep pool again. So now, when its master was awake once more and sending out his dark thought from Mirkwood, it abandoned Gollum, only to be picked up by the most unlikely person imaginable, Bilbo from the Shire. Behind that, there was something else at work, beyond any design of the Ringmaker. I can put it no plainer than by saying that Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and not by its maker, in which case you were also meant to have it, and that may be an encouraging thought. I always enjoy these subtle moments in the story when Eru Ilúvatar is mentioned, not by name perhaps, but in the quiet suggestion of a deeper will guiding things beyond even Gandalf's comprehension. It's a reminder that in Tolkien's world, providence isn't loud or forceful. It moves softly through chance meetings, strange timings, and unlikely heroes. The fact that Bilbo, of all people, stumbled upon the ring at that exact moment isn't just coincidence. It's a whisper of something greater at work, a glimmer of hope in a tale so often shadowed by darkness. It gives the story a kind of sacred weight, that even in the darkest of times, light is still being woven in, thread by thread. And one of my viewers actually brought this up in a comment on a recent video. It follows Tolkien's ongoing theme of simple, small good deeds adding up to overcome evil. They were responding to my video discussing the significance of Farmer Maggot standing up to a Nazgul when it arrived at his front gate. The link to that video is in the description below. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.